We are live. All right, let's wait for some people to move in. Tessa, when's your birthday?
May 27th.
Everybody wish
Coming
Tessa a
up.
happy early birthday.
And I turned
Right,
30 this year, so it's a big deal.
right around the corner. All
Biggie.
right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another BAM training. I want to thank you all for taking the time out of your busy schedules to spend the afternoon with us today. Let us know in the chat what market you are tuning in from. Let us know if anybody here is from Tucson, Arizona, my hometown. We got the Wildcats playing on Friday. Drop your market in the chat. In case you don't know me, I am Eric Simon, aka the Broke Agent, aka the Sultan of Swipes, aka the Colossus of Clicks. And I am joined here by the Viral Agent crew. The Viral Agent is our marketing newsletter, and we have an Instagram at the Viral Agent where we send out social media and marketing tips every Tuesday in a newsletter from this electric crew right here. And this is going to be the first of 3 webinars that we plan on doing together this year. So congrats on making the first one. All right, so in this crew that I just mentioned, the mastermind behind the brands are, of course, myself and the guests here today. We have the legend, creative, and social savant, Krys Benyamein. We got the hyperlocal queen, Alyssa Curnutt, who I mention pretty much every single time on the walkthrough and every single day of my life. And to tie it all together, we have the princess of posting, Miss Tessabella. Tessa, how are you doing today?
Incredible. I liked being called the princess more than the beast, so thank you.
That's true. Okay. Well, we have a great crew for everybody. So here's what's going to happen. All right. We are going to teach you the 3 hyperlocal posts that make you the go-to account in your market, along with a filter of which to post this content, which is kind of like the secret sauce, the rocket fuel to actually help you get engagement and convert these posts into leads. And then as a bonus, as promised, everyone here on this webinar is going to get a hyperlocal content idea bank, as well as an invite into our school community, which will be a 7-day free trial that will help you implement everything that we talk about today. Also, everyone here will, of course, get the replay emailed to them after the webinar is over, so expect that email. Don't ask that in the chat because you will get the replay webinar. All right, here is what's going to break down on the webinar. I'm going to lead it off with why this content, why hyperlocal content is important to post. Then Alyssa is going to show you the 2 types of hyperlocal content. Then Tessa is going to show you the filter. Krys is going to close it out with one more type of hyperlocal content. And then we're hopefully going to leave a little room for Q&A and show you around what's in the community. So make sure you stick around to the end because we want to answer your questions. So start thinking of stuff to ask us. We'll probably have 10, 20 minutes and we might stay a little bit extra. All right, so if you guys like the sound of that, drop a 1 in the chat, and then we will get started with the webinar. I'm not going to start until we get 10 ones, guys, so let me know when we get 10 ones.
I think we have far surpassed 10 ones.
Okay, perfect. Let me just share my screen real quick, and we will start the presentation. How are we feeling, Alyssa? You ready for this?
I'm so ready.
She's so dialed.
So ready.
We're dialed. All right, perfect. All right, this is the Hyperlocal Content Formula by Krys, Alyssa, Tessa, and myself. I want to lead it off because you guys may have seen this all over the place, but it appears that social media has died in 2026. But don't listen to me, listen to the GOAT, Gary Vee.
Social media doesn't exist anymore. It is now interest media. 7 years ago, you got content from people you followed. 3 years ago, all of you know this, you do not get content as much from people you follow. You get content of the things you're interested in currently. I have spent 20 years amassing 55 million followers, and you can post on TikTok today with 0 followers on a new handle you make up called Janet in Atlanta. And that post with 0 followers that you created today, if you make a good piece of content, has the ability to get more views than me with 15 million followers on TikTok. This level of democracy should piss me off because I've worked very hard for 20 years to amass what I have, but there's no crying in baseball.
Okay, well, this sort of thing actually does piss me off because I've amassed a huge following and I see accounts with way less followers now getting way better engagement. But this is awesome because we technically do have almost an even playing field right now in social media. As you said before, you could basically have 1 follower and get 1 million views on an account, and 1 post could basically change the entire trajectory of your brand. So I just wanted to lead with some rare optimism, Krys. As you know, I'm not the most optimistic guy on the planet, but I truly believe this is the best time ever to create content. And if you're an agent who's kind of felt like you were not necessarily left behind, but like you were behind in growing your brand, or you weren't posting consistently on social yet, and you felt like everybody was ahead of you, that doesn't matter anymore. Because, like we just said, you could have 10,000 followers, one follower, five followers, and kind of be in the same boat as everybody else in terms of people actually seeing your content. So just to hammer home what Gary Vee was talking about, interest media has replaced social media. Previously, the focus was on building up a following, and your content reach was tied exactly to your follower account. And success on these platforms meant you had to gain followers, and then a percentage of that following would see it. So I don't know if you remember a few years ago, or 5 years ago, I guess, you basically had to have 100,000 followers to get 10,000, 20,000 views. It was so much harder, and the entire game was just, how do I increase my follower count so that a percentage of that audience would see it? Currently, the focus is now on the content itself and is based off of the algorithmic behavior that pushes the content into your actual interests. So what does this exactly mean for you, for the people watching, for real estate agents? It means this sort of shit no longer works. This is obviously an overdone AI image of what a typical real estate account looks like. But what I mean by this is, if you're only posting real estate content, listing videos, educational content, just solds, open house flyers that should be print marketing and that should not ever be on your social media feed, market updates, reviews, right? Testimonials. This sort of content is important, of course, but you're missing out on a majority of the population who are not actually actively looking to buy or sell real estate. The typical homeowner stays put for 12 years. And I did a little calculation here with ChatGPT. Who knows if this is right, so don't take my word for it. But basically, estimate that around 5 to 10% of people are actually kind of actively looking in the market at any given time. So what does this mean? It means that majority of your followers are not actually interested in seeing real estate content nonstop. You see this woman right here, she's bored, right? Because all she's seeing is educational content from a real estate agent. In fact, she's probably not even seeing the content because her interests at the time are not buying or selling. So that stuff isn't even getting fed into her algorithm. But everybody is interested in their community, what's happening in your market, not necessarily with housing prices, but the local businesses, the coffee shops, the new developments, the restaurants, the events, the news, that sort of stuff. Alyssa, I see you got a little smile when I said the word coffee shop, because I know you love local coffee shops, which we'll get
You
into
like to
here
take
in a
my
second.
digs at coffee shops, don't you?
I do. All right. So the goal of this is for everybody here to understand that you got to attract people with this interest-based hyperlocal content. And eventually, when they are interested in real estate, they will use you. But I just want to touch upon a disclaimer real quick, Krys, because I don't want people to think that we're drawing them in the wrong direction with only interest-based content.
Yeah, as we were preparing this yesterday, the gang was really thinking about how Hyperlocal is the perfect vessel to get in front of people we don't know and continue to grow the account. But we have to keep in mind that we're still real estate agents serving clients directly. So that doesn't mean there's not room for your listing videos, market updates, or educational content. For me personally, I really believe there is so much value to that, to build trust, build authority. But we have to keep in mind, not every piece of content serves the same purpose, and that if your Instagram or social media account is going to be a way to build your business, that there are going to be multiple sort of angles you have to hit for different people that you're, going after. Does that make, did I say that right?
Yeah, exactly. Basically, like, you should still, of course, post real estate content. But if you want to start attracting people, the average person that is not actively looking to buy or sell, which is 90% of your audience, you post the interest-based content, then they get bought into your brand, then they get interested in your other content, and then your listing videos and everything actually starts popping up. So it's all a funnel into your real estate content.
Amen.
All right, let's get into it. The 3 types of hyperlocal content. And then Tessa's going to put a nice little filter in it. Alyssa, I will kick it to you.
Okay, cool. Well, this is, number one is the bread and butter of hyperlocal content, which is business highlights. And we've seen them done well. We've seen them done not so well. And so I would say, like, the most important thing when you're putting together a business highlight, you need to make sure that it's either, if you want it to be really well received, focus on something that's either new or coming soon that you know about, or something unique. Like if you're going to do a coffee shop, Eric, you focus on something that like what makes that coffee shop unique instead of being like, here's where it's at. They serve lattes and mochas and, you know, something really generic. Like find something that makes that place unique and really like harp on that. And that's what's going to really resonate people. And then also, Tessa's going to get into this in a little bit, but running it through the filter and really figuring out who you're talking to. Like if you're wanting to make local content, the most important step one is going to be who you're talking to and talking to that person every single time. So like for me, it's not just anybody in Spokane. Like my audience is women who have kids who are between the ages of 2 and 14 who live in North Spokane. Like that's directly what my content is served for every single time. And if the piece of content I'm thinking about making, if it doesn't like fit for that ideal person, I don't make content on it. So we don't have to show the whole thing, Eric, maybe just to the fire part, but I want to show you kind of an example of what this looks like.
If you live in Spokane and love coffee, there's a shop that you have to try out, and just wait until you see the blowtorch and fire they bring to your table to take your latte to the next level. Patati Coffee Roasters is across from the Milk Bottle in the Garland District. They roast their own coffee in-house and have a ton of unique seasonal drinks and local pastries. They also have tableside service, so you order at the counter and then they bring your order out on a cute little platter. And if you want to add any cinnamon or nutmeg to your drink or pastry, they torch it, which brings out the flavor a bit more and gave my coffee cake a great caramelized touch. Coffee's fantastic, and there's a ton of spread out seating in here, so it really is an awesome spot to meet up with a friend. Share this video with a friend in Spokane who you'd like to grab a coffee with.
So that's like I said, it's not just a general coffee shop. Like you touch on that, but then also it's like the fire part. Like no other coffee shop in our town is doing anything like that. So really focusing on that. And that's what's going to really level up when you're doing like a profile on a business. And then the next one is
before we get into it, Alyssa.
Yeah.
I just want to touch upon the amount
Grab
of cuts in this video. If people are watching
in the Garland District, they
it's
roast
every
their
2
own
seconds.
coffee in-house and have a ton.
Right, every 2 seconds there's a cut showing different B-roll. So obviously, Alyssa, you might touch upon this too, but getting that B-roll when you go to these places makes it so you don't have to film the video as you talking in front of everybody else, right? You kind of film the intro at the beginning, then you get into the B-roll, but that cuts of every 2 seconds keep your attention. So it's not just one long kind of drawn out 60-second clip. It's like every 2 seconds I'm seeing a new thing of the actual business.
When I shoot these businesses, I'm about 30 shots is my average of what I walk away from doing those, because I want to keep it moving and not lose people's attention. So that's what I would recommend getting it when you do those videos.
30 shots in 60 seconds.
30 shots for a 60-second video, yeah.
It might seem nuanced, but listening to you, there's definitely an art to the way that you speak. And I think, if you sound like you're in a closet and everything is the same level, it might affect the performance. And, I just think that you have such a cadence and the pitch goes up and down. So as people are listening to it, it's so much more than just reading a script.
Yeah, I think it's important too to make sure that you don't come across as bored. And so like when I'm recording my voiceovers, I'm actually standing up, like using my hands and stuff so that it kind of brings energy to it, because they can come across boring. And should we tease the hyperlocal thing? And we'll talk a bit about how you can get like all these kind of tips and stuff in a couple at the end, right, Eric? I don't know when we're. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Moving on to events. So this is another key way, and this one's super, super easy to replicate in your market, is events and becoming known as the person who knows everything that's going on, because then people will seek you out. They're like, oh, they know that I'm posting every single Thursday about what's coming on in Spokane this weekend, and they are, we're looking for something fun to do for the kids. They might hop on my page and search and go to this carousel. And so reels, they're important, but they can take up time. Carousels are something that you can batch, honestly, like months in advance, and just do a bunch of them and have them set. You could either do specific like holidays, like one that I did this later last week was like a St. Patrick's Day roundup of what's going on the weekend and today in Spokane. And then someone else, Kara in Omaha, does an awesome job with carousels, and she does monthly ones, just kind of giving a heads up general look at what's going on in her city. And how this kind of translates to leads is putting together one of these. You can go to the next slide. There you go. Putting together these. So this is kind of like the what would I call it? Like the system of what I do in order to get leads from these. So you can do a general post for an event, and then in the caption, if you have like a guide that you put together for it. So this is kind of the layout I did for holidays. So every Thursday I did a weekend. Here's what's coming up in Spokane. I did one holiday guide, and every caption for my events would tease, like, comment the word holidays and get this guide. They just had everything. It was like a 12-page thing, everything going on in Spokane, free things, things for the kids, indoor things, outdoor things. And you can do this for every single season. You can do a spring one, a summer one. My farmer's market one is usually pretty popular. And then every time someone, in order to get this guide, they end up putting their email in. And so it goes into my newsletter, which is a weekly drip, and it's the exact same formula and format as my Instagram page. It's all community based. I do have real estate stuff in there. I highlight my listings in there. I will plug, like, give a little snippet on like what's going on in the market, if I had a client event, things like that. So they're still, like Krys said, like, you don't want people to forget you're a real estate agent. Like, you're not trying to be an influencer here, but you want to make sure that people don't forget that you're a real estate agent. And so I think from this holiday one last year, I did 1,335 new emails I got from the 2 holiday guides I did in December.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's a testament to people are interested, obviously, in events, stuff that's happening in their community. As Sharon always jokingly kind of says on stage, nobody cares about your first time buyer's guide. I'm sure, of course, some people do, but think about the pool that we just talked about. Say it's 5 to 10% of people actively looking to buy or sell real estate. How many of those are actually first-time home buyers? How many of those people are currently scrolling social media to happen to come across your account, to then happen to actually comment the word guide, to then receive that guide, and then they're in your drip? But how many people want to know what's happening in their events on the weekend? Like, I live in this little community called Playa Vista. We follow the local community page because it's talking about all the events and all the new restaurants and everything opening it up. And that's what my wife and I send back and forth in DMs, is stuff about that. It's not necessarily an educational video from a real estate agent talking about an earnest money deposit when I'm not interested. When I'm interested in buying or selling, that is the stuff that I would share or send.
And it opens the door for conversations that you went. So I'll tell a story about. So this weekend, I did a workout and then went over to the coffee shop next door that I have done a feature on before. And I was sitting there working, and the owner, who like I said, I did a video on this place last year, came over to me and was like, "Oh my gosh, so good to see you." And she's like, "Oh my gosh, thank you so much for posting that St. Patrick's Day roundup. I was looking for things to do with my kids, and it gave me ideas. I didn't know that." She mentioned one of the things was going on. And then she said, "By the way, I've been meaning actually to reach out to you. I'm thinking about buying a condo downtown next to my other business so I can be closer proximity." And we had a conversation about real estate I don't know if it's the real about her, probably all of the above. The event kind of triggered me to be in her brain, but that's what it's all about. It's just like constantly being in people's mind of like, when it is the right time, whenever they're wanting to buy or sell, they've seen your community stuff over and over again. And so they reach out to that real estate agent who they're seeing their content from.
Awesome. So we're going to give everybody here a chance to dive deeper into Alyssa's hyperlocal training, because she's got a DM script too that she gives, or that she sends to businesses to actually film these reels. So she doesn't just show up at these businesses or these coffee shops. She sends a message to them to kind of prep them. And then she's going to get into her shot list and everything, but we'll give that away at the end as well. So let's get into the filter that really puts like an engagement boost behind this content. So I'll kick it to you, Tessa.
Yeah, I think that hyperlocal content in itself is extremely valuable, especially when you're doing it much like Alyssa's talking about, where we're pulling things that are new or coming soon, or there's a degree of excitement around it. I think that there's also a way to take your day-to-day run-of-the-mill, quote unquote, like localized content and make it feel additionally valuable or relevant to certain people. One of my favorite phrases of all time when it comes to marketing is, if you can explain somebody's problem or situation better than they can, they automatically assume that you have the solution. And so I like to use this concept and apply it to just about any content that we create. And it really comes down to 2 filters. And these filters are essentially the lens at which you're putting content out. And so the first filter is really based around your own unique viewpoint. Each and every single person on this webinar right now has things about them that make you very much unique. And all of us have lots of these different things. It's not even just one qualifier, there's a bunch of different ones. And so as we go through this and I give some examples, I would encourage you guys even to write out what comes to mind as some of your own filters, because the more that you start thinking about it, the more you see there really are so many that apply to each one of us individually. And so when we're talking about filter number one, through your own unique viewpoint, these are the kind of things where not only are you giving some additional perspective, you're making something potentially even more hyper local, but you're also in sort of a subtle way allowing people to get to know a bit more about you and show your personality a bit more, which is, in my opinion, one of the most important pieces on social media, because I want people to meet me in person and feel like they already know me, feel like they're already connecting to me. And one of the best ways to do so is allow them to get to know you, the elements of you that you want to share. But that's not just showing up and saying, "Hi, my name's Tessa. Here are 3 things I enjoy doing on the weekends. Here's my favorite color." Like, we don't need to give them our bio, but through content like this over time, you can allow people to get to know you. So a few examples is, well, actually, first, if you want to play this quick video, there's not a lot to the video itself. It's more so the hook that I want you guys to be able to really see here. But this was a client. This is a client who we have run social media for, and the hook on this video says, "Ranking Colorado Springs neighborhoods as a dad who spent 11 years in law enforcement." And then in the caption, we go into great detail about the different neighborhoods and kind of his ranking on this. Now, a few things happen here. Number one, we're allowing people who maybe already follow him. We actually saw this happen. There's a lot of people that didn't even know that this was a part of his background because they see him or they've met him as a real estate agent and may not have this extra knowledge of that this was his previous career. And so it can build relationships. It can help you to stand out. But one specifically with this one is we're also sort of dancing around fair housing here, because I don't know about you, but as I read this, it's sort of implying if you're somebody who worked in law enforcement, and you're also a parent, you may lean a little bit more towards the neighborhoods that are a bit safer, a bit more family friendly, all of these things that we can't directly say in our content. And so it's putting it through a filter of something that is unique to him. And so a couple other examples of just the unique viewpoint here is, as a military wife and mom of 3, here are a few neighborhoods in city that feel like an instant community. Or as a busy grandma raising 3 grandkids under 5, here are the parks in the city that I actually trust. You're adding these additional layers that allow people to kind of connect with you more. And you can, of course, also always pull in your real estate layer. So as somebody who's personally closed over 200 transactions here in Scottsdale, here's what I wish buyers understood about bidding wars right now. I'm not only establishing authority, I'm really setting myself apart as an expert, and I'm adding value to somebody. So if you want to hop to the next one, I'll give you guys a secondary filter that you can kind of run things through as well. And this is, in some cases, these things may be very much the same for some of you, but in other cases, it might be very different. And so filter number 2 is where we're speaking really directly to the person that you're trying to attract or who you want to engage or consume your content. And so this would be taking a little bit of time to dive deeper into who your ideal audience is. Like Alyssa gave an incredible example also of, her content is not just for people in Spokane. It's for people who have, I think you said, mothers with children 2 to 14 in North Spokane. Hopefully I got that right. That was kind of impressive that I just rattled that off. But that's a very specific demographic of who she's really communicating to. And so maybe talking about like the best bars for a late night party is probably not the content that would speak directly to her audience. Instead, we can think about who that is and again, run our content through that filter. So an example might be, if you're a California transplant who just moved to the Valley, here's what nobody warned you about. Or if you've got little ones on the way and you're trying to figure out which neighborhoods have the best school districts without spending 40 hours on Google, that one actually is maybe a little bit, maybe we run away from that one. Sorry, I forgot that is no longer allowed. But just examples here, right? If you're a remote worker who needs a home office that actually works, here are the floor plans I would be looking at in market. So you're just, again, running it through another layer of content that kind of caters to specific groups of people. And the last and best part, if you want to skip to our last example here, is best case scenario. You can really kind of tie these together and potentially use both. Now, I do want to say with this, don't force both if it doesn't actually work, but you'll find as you're going to create content that there's probably a lot of scenarios where you can use a combination of these. So, an example might be that initially, maybe the content piece is just best neighborhoods in Gilbert, Arizona. Now, that kind of boring. I don't know what the criteria of what we're ranking these off of. There might not be a lot of reasons that make me inclined to further engage with that content. But if I put it through a personal filter, which is not relevant to me, but just for the record, I'm not a mom of three. But if I were, maybe my filter would sound like, as a mom of three, these Gilbert neighborhoods are my top picks for our next move. And so now, again, I'm giving them a little bit more context around who I am. I'm sort of giving a quiet qualifier as to why I might be able to speak to neighborhoods that might be good for this, but it's also keeping it personal. In a way, it's sort of building that trust too, because I'm saying, like, I would literally move here. And so it's allowing people to feel that sense of connection. Like you are the person that's giving them this perfect place to go because you would go there yourself. Filter number two, if I was only using that, I might say something like, if you're moving to Gilbert with little ones, these are three neighborhoods I'd show you first. Again, still a great angle, but if I combine them, I might say something like, as a mom who's been selling in Gilbert for over 8 years, here's what I would tell my best friend if she was moving her family here this year. And now I'm just giving some additional context. I'm sort of inviting you to be my best friend in this situation. I'm establishing that I've been selling specifically in this area. I'm also a mom who lives in this area. And so there's just so many additional layers that take what's initially kind of bland content that doesn't really land for somebody and turning it into something where a consumer's reading that and maybe being like, oh my gosh, that's exactly my situation. I'm also in this spot. I really trust that person. Like you're allowing a lot deeper connection to happen as a result of it.
Yeah, as a 36-year-old Jewish guy with a crippling gambling addiction and an obsession with real estate memes, here are three neighborhoods that I recommend.
Exactly. No,
you could
I'm
actually
glad
get
you
funny and
made that
specific
joke
with it. The
because
gambling's a
sometimes
joke, Mom. I know you're watching. She always signs up for these.
there is a level of this that can go a little too far. I think that goes without saying, but like you're not adding these just for the sake of adding them. Like I gave an
Right.
example yesterday. I'm like, as a power lifter who only drinks blue Gatorade, these are the two best neighborhoods for you. Like there's really you want it to have some degree of relevance to what you're talking about. We're not just randomly sharing a fun fact for the heck of it. So
Although those are funny, like that would hook me in better than just saying, here are three neighborhoods I recommend. If it was someone
true.
that like that you're getting super specific with. One thing also I want to touch on is notice these videos, this example. Like he's not talking, right? So you don't have to talk in every single one of these. In fact, these B-roll reels are super effective right now where the hook and the text-based hook right here does the majority of the lifting. So it's just different shots. He's kind of driving through the neighborhood. This video does not take a long time to create. Same thing with this.
Yep.
This is
Yeah, this one was
just
POV. You're a military family who just received orders to relocate or to PCS to Yuma, Arizona, and you're not sure how to feel about it.
yeah.
And so it's just a couple of clips thrown together with some audio that kind of hits on that same emotion, and then caption really breaks down the details. I know there's some mixed opinions on this type of content, but overall it just continues to perform really well, and it's a super low lift for creating. And so I think it's good to see that as another example that it doesn't always have to be something that you shoot 60 clips and you record yourself talking. Should it be a combination of all of that in an ideal scenario? Yes, I
Yeah.
think it should. But in order to be effective with hyperlocal content, it doesn't always have to just look one way or another. There's many ways to make that land.
Yeah, variety of packaging is something we have preached at BAM on the Broke Agent account. All three accounts, by the way, Tessa, Krys, and Alyssa, insane variety. You just saw Alyssa's. She has carousel posts about events. She has her front to camera talking about events. Chris's page, I mean, he's posting like 15 reels a day. It feels like every single one of them gives you a different sort of style. So I want to get into Krys now here too. So far we've covered businesses. That was the first one. Events. Tessa just gave you the filter. And then now we're going to get into news-based content. Let us know in the chat how you guys are enjoying this viral agent webinar. Drop a 2 if you're getting some value from it, and make sure to think of your questions, because in about 10 minutes here, we're going to start going over some questions. All right, Krys. Oh, finally, Tessa, actually. What's the universal
Sorry, just
filter?
really quickly, because
Yes.
this does apply to both what Alyssa talked about and what Krys is about to share with you. When in doubt, there is also something that I sort of think of as our universal filter, and that's in any content that you're sharing, particularly actually those news-based ones or ones that maybe are a new or upcoming business that's opening up. Adding just the additional line of here's what this means for you if can be an incredibly effective filter. Like even in Alyssa's local content, if at the end of the year you're like, if you went to all of these events at a specific area that were all maybe in downtown, these neighborhoods might be perfect if you want to walk to them next year. Like you're just adding a little extra that applies to whoever resonated most with that content. So that's sort of your dummy-proof universal filter you can always use.
Perfect. Can you guys see the chat on the screen too, or no, just the presentation, right? Okay.
Yep.
I just want to make sure I can monitor the chat too. All right, Krys, local news.
Yes. So this really piggybacks well off what Tessa and Alyssa were sharing in the sense of different formats, because one thing that I think we struggle with sometimes is like that comfort to show up on camera. One, because we just don't have a lot of experience doing it. Two, because it takes so much time. So we recently put on 4 webinars that were all as a result of putting out this news that started with a graphic post and then bled into other types of content that I think you guys could apply to your business. It specifically started with the second one. So I don't know if you guys can see the second of these 4 slides that Eric has right here. This original post was inspired by somebody in my market that was sharing this California Dream for All program. And I knew from when this program came out last year that there was going to be a lot of attention. And very simply, because I didn't have a ton of time and I wasn't sure if it was going to be worth making a video, I put together this like news style headline post. This is an iteration of the Cal Haffa graphic from like the government website. And then like the bold text is an iteration of a BAMx template that we've been like iterating and iterating and iterating. Because this post crushed, and you can see right there, it has like 9,800 likes. Whoa. It was shared almost 13,000 times. When I began to see it pick up attention, my immediate thought was like, how do I convert this into actual buyers and sellers? How do I convert this into conversations? So very quickly, we pivoted. You'll see it on the next slide. But before Eric moves to that next slide, what you're seeing here is what looks very similar, but 4 versions of the same thing promoting a different webinar, or like the same webinar 4 different times. So you can see different house in the background, different things highlighted in yellow versus white, different placement as far as breaking news and coming back in 2026. I was iterating. As soon as the government had shared that the registration dates were available, we started adding that, just trying to think about what would get people's attention, because the first one did so well. And you can see the analytics don't show the shares on these, but you can see the second one, 704 likes and 966 likes. All of those had thousands of shares, really performed. And then you can, if you go to the next slide, Eric.
Yeah, before I do, I just want to show this
please.
as an example. So this is, local news in the sense that this is a California program, right?
Yeah.
So this is an actual real estate California program, which is why it works so good for Krys's audience, because he sells real estate in California. But just notice how he mentioned 4 different posts about the same thing. If something works, people are interested in it, you keep posting about it, right? Like Krys is not shy about posting the same thing over and over. I'm not shy about it. Look at me. I've been rotating the same 50 memes for the last 10 years, right? Dad's at inspections. It works. Keep hammering it. So same thing with your audience. If you see something that got, what'd you say, 13,000 shares,
yeah,
he didn't stop there and just say, okay, well, that's the only webinar I'm doing. That's the only post I'm doing. You just kept going. And these all look slightly the same, but Krys also knows, because it's an interest-based algorithm, it's still going to find the right people that are interested in this program.
Yeah, and I care enough about it that I want to switch it up, but I knew because the first one worked, let's iterate. So what I'm showing you guys here is not in any specific order, but you can go ahead and play the first one, Eric.
Little
So
Bad Bunny trend jack right there, by the way.
Yeah, that video was dropped right after the Super Bowl. That footage was filmed for a listing that I have in South Los Angeles, and that text was taken from, I think, like Fox News, who had put out like a static post with very similar language. And the reason I'm making stuff like that is because despite loving being on camera, it just takes a lot of time, right? So if I want to put more volume out, somebody was asking how many leads did you get? We generated more than 110 signups, and I'll tell you more, but like 10 buyer consultations. Yeah, it generated a lot of leads, but that type of content is the stuff that allows you to create without bogging you down time-wise. That second video, you know, play the whole thing.
Huge news in the housing market. The California Dream for All program, the one that's giving $150,000 towards down payment assistance, the registration dates just became available.
So,
February
that's probably good.
24th through March 16th.
Like a bad parent, I was scrolling at the park with my kids, and my wife wasn't with me, and I saw that the registration dates were available or just became released, and I literally filmed it right there with Porter in my hands. And that's a screenshot of my original post. I had already decided that we were going to be doing the webinar, but it just kind of shows you I'm creating in real time. The next one is footage from, you know, another listing we were shooting. Same thing, like I'm in Southern California. Bad Bunny continues to trend. This is a neighborhood that we sell in. The third one, you don't got to play the whole thing, but it's exactly the same, right? It's like sharing.
I recently made a post that shared that news and it went absolutely viral, so it felt necessary for me to make this video explaining what it was really about. California's Dream for All is expected to make a return.
The audio
in
is not very
2020.
high quality. It's not my favorite piece of content, but ultimately it was something to push this webinar. And when you consider it part of like the catalog of everything we made, I was happy with it. You know, done is better than perfect for a lot of the stuff that I'm pushing out. And the last one is just a green screen with our graphic.
California's Dream for All program is back, and it's helping with $150,000 of down payment help. I shared that recently and it went viral, so I wanted to quickly explain what people actually need to do to understand. This program can cover.
You don't have to be listening very closely, but if you're paying even slight attention, they sound the same. And the chances are when I wrote that second script, I used my first script. And when I used my first script, it was based on the caption that I wrote for the first carousel post. So when you have something that gives you a little bit of juice, you really need to keep in mind that you don't need more ideas. You just need to do more with the one idea that you have. Next slide, Mr. Slide.
Yeah. Also for this, just like you said, if you have a sorry, you're spitting so much good stuff. I just want to put a stamp on it. Like you said, if you have a caption that does really well, maybe that turns into an email, right? The email promotion for this webinar, which I'm sure a lot of you got on about the whole social media is dead thing. That was because I saw a Gary Vee post, and that was because, and then I did an Instagram carousel with social media is dead. And then that same copy on that carousel, I used in the email to promote this webinar, and then use it again, and then use it again in my Instagram stories. So if something works, package it slightly differently on different platforms, because not everybody's going to see it. As we know, 2 to 3% of your actual followers see your content. So do not be afraid to fire like Krys just did. I mean, look at this. 9 posts about the same program.
I think there was even more than that. Yeah, that's only the ones that I wanted to share with you.
Look, that's straight volume, everybody. Okay, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah. So somebody was asking about landing page. Well, yeah, somebody was asking about where do you send them? Like, I really am, Sherry, trying to get things done better than perfect, and landing pages would have been beautiful, and the next iteration will have them. But for this specifically, this is a screenshot of my Zoom registration page. And within Zoom, you're allowed to ask for people's names, phone numbers, and emails. And that's all that we did. It could have been more sophisticated, but you know, this is a screenshot from the February 18th one. And it's a pretty good example of sort of like my process behind it, not sophisticated. Like the more obstacles, the harder for me. So I try to keep it simple. One thing that I had shared, this is like Hermosi, this is Sharon, and like this is an example that I'm sharing with you guys is if you have an idea, you probably want to battle test it with as least time as possible before you record green screens, go out and record B-roll. Like you should go make hyperlocal content like Alyssa, but if you don't have time and you're scared and you're just not sure, maybe do something that is like text-based or graphic-based, see how it does, and it gives you like the indication of success, then go put more time and money behind it.
What if you did this to test out content? You could post something in your stories where you
Yes.
say, "What's your favorite coffee shop? Hey, moms who are 35 and have 4 kids, what's your favorite coffee shop in Spokane?" You're going to get 4 or 5 replies, and then that coffee shop is probably the one you want to do a video about, because you could say like, "Hey, I polled my audience and all these people love this coffee shop. I went to check it out. Here's what happened." So that way there's interest already attached to the piece of content. Bet you never thought of that, Alyssa.
No, and that's actually genius because then it increases engagement, which then they're going to be
Exactly.
invested, and
They're
then
invested.
people will love it.
Yeah,
Thanks,
drop a
Jake.
3 in the comments if you think that point that I just made is genius. Drop a 3 in the comments, please.
These were some of the analytics that I had collected preparing for this. 14 pieces of content total, 18 emails. So I did distinguish. I sent 18 emails out, 14 pieces of content on social media, ultimately resulted in 110 leads between myself. We can save this for like how we did the buyer consultations, but we ultimately scheduled 10 buyer consultations and 3 people qualified now shopping. Not to mention all of the conversations with my sphere and clients that are just like, can I do this? And I'm like, nah, come on, dog. You own like 3 houses, but I'm still talking to them. Examples of some of the emails that we sent out. So this is just copy. You guys will get this deck, so you can go ahead and steal this and make it your own and adapt it to whatever webinar you want to do. But plain text, plain ugly Zoom link. I think it was Sharon that said it's not a bad idea to make them like this. And this is really from the nectar of like what the caption was. On the last slide, I was generating some ideas that I think are more evergreen and that you can do in your area. And I think it really has to do with what's trending that people don't know about that's happening in your neighborhood. So if you live somewhere with new construction, I'm in Southern California and we don't have as much new construction in Orange County and LA, but we have a lot in the Inland Empire. I think that there's a lot of opportunity for the new developments coming to X and what they mean for home prices. Alyssa, I know she's not talking about this today, but she does a buyer webinar. I think, like, don't you do it once or twice a year?
Yeah, I try
And
to
it
do it like 3
crushes.
times a year.
Yeah, and I know that she talks about local developments. I was thinking about in California and like Florida specifically, I think everyone is dealing with insurance issues, but maybe why insurance costs are rising and what it means for homeowners. I don't want to tell you that all of these are airtight and going to generate hundreds of leads, but I do think that there is a group of people that are going to be interested in them, and they are worth investing a little bit of time to battle test with a post, with a story, with a graphic, see if it's worth putting the energy into it to make it like a full-blown webinar.
I have this too. This is Byrne. He is a agent with Real Byrne
So good.
McGovern, and he does local news posts. And I just want to show the variety of content that you could kind of do, whether it's local news about real estate specific or something that's as simple as like a traffic shop or a traffic stop or a parking garage. This video you're about to watch, not that exciting. I love Burn, but I'm not going to say this is the most exciting video I've ever seen, but the engagement is absolutely ridiculous. So just look at this video. This is how to do local news.
So did you guys hear about this one? Encinitas just decided to redo a street project that was only finished just a few short months ago. And it's going to cost more than $3 million to redo. Yeah, we're talking about Santa Fe Drive right by San Dieguito Academy. Now, the city spent years planning and building this thing. New bike lanes,
So he gets into it, but the point is, like, it's about new bike lanes, right? This is not a super sexy topic, but people care so much about what's happening in their community that this is getting shared, where they could just recognize, like, oh, I know exactly what he's talking about. Oh, this is what's happening there. That's amazing. Another thing I want to touch upon too, just for the hyperlocal perspective, what you have in your bio is extremely important because it should communicate what sort of content that people could expect from your page. So it says North County, San Diego, helping people buy and sell real estate, mostly North County, San Diego news, new restaurants, developments, and real estate. So then you know from there that you're not just going to get your typical real estate content. So you should have a line in your bio, and maybe you put it through the Tessabella filter that describes exactly who this content is for. We just did this for our BAM account where we said giving real estate agents the daily playbook to build their brand and close more deals. That way you understand what you're going to get when you follow an account, as opposed to a typical agent account that'll say 20 years in the business, your brokerage, helping people buy or sell, top 10%, whatever. And then it's like, okay, like this is just another real estate agent. I want to follow someone like Alyssa that says just a Spokane. Oh, I usually have it
Oh,
memorized. What is it? What does
oh,
yours say?
a Spokane real estate agent or a Spokane real estate agent sharing cool things about the city she loves.
Exactly. See what that does? Like that just it shows you that you're just going to get more from following this account, and that I don't have to be interested in real estate to necessarily follow this account. All right. Hopefully that was helpful for everybody. Drop a 4 in the comments if you enjoyed this. We're going to get into Q&A here, but if you need help implementing all of this, because I know this was a ton of information, we want to give you right now an invite to join our school community, of which all of us on this Zoom right here, the Viral Agent crew, are a part of and have significant trainings and templates and everything on our school platform. So this is our BAMx community. This is a 7-day free trial for it right now. If you're a BAMx member, let people know in the comments how much value you're getting from this community. But Alyssa has her entire hyperlocal blueprint in our community. And if you want to touch upon what's in this, Alyssa, but it's one of the best trainings I've seen that kind of dive deeper on your shot list, your DM script, and pretty much everything to film hyperlocal content.
Yeah, I mean, it's everything. It's like I said, I think it's so it's 7 modules, but then there's like little episodes in each one, and it's literally everything. It's everything from how I reach out to the businesses, how I send like the video DMs to them, what I say, the scripts. I know time's really big, so it's like how I'm saving time by creating this content, like batching and editing and things like that. So a lot of time saving tips, and then what to do, like I said, before the shoot, when you're at the shoot, the shot list, all the things, and then after the shoot, how to make sure that that content gets seen by places, and then how you can also get leads from that content.
So you get the entire Hyperlocal Blueprint training, plus you get social media templates, video scripts, blogs, and emails every single week. If you scan this QR code, we'll also drop a link in the chat right now. You'll get free access to this. So a 7-day free trial, no pressure to join, but try it out for 7 days and see all the insane value in it, because we also have all of Krys's content on here. And Krys, if you want to dive into what you also have in this community, each one of these should be like its own product, but they're all a part of this community. So just get into what you do in BAMx.
Yeah, this was birthed out of trying to organize all my shit. So truly, everything that I'm doing in my own business is here on everyone is here for everyone on school. So our headline stuff that we're adapting, our flyers, our postcards, a lot of scripts that we're writing, our door knockers. I'm big on traditional stuff when it comes to print marketing and promoting our listings. So all of that is there. And then something I'm really proud of that we're leaning on the most is like our listing sort of flywheel and our listing calendar system, what I drop when a listing is active, in escrow, and closed. So yeah, it's all back there for everyone to play with.
And some of the best parts about this too is our office hours. So Krys just had on Phil Stringer to talk about AI and how to actually rank an AI search. I do a live content audits once a month, the last Wednesday of every single month, where we actually pull up all of our members' profiles and go over their content and have kind of a live Q&A where we could dive into how to optimize their bio, how to make their content even better, plus all of Byron's role plays, which are every single week on Tuesday. And then we have Tessa's lead magnet courses and trainings and templates in here as well. So if you got any value out of this, I highly recommend just scanning that QR code and joining BAMx for at least a 7-day free trial. Test it out, see all the content we have in there, and I think you will really enjoy it. Here are some examples of our social media templates that we give out every single Friday in our BAMx content drop. So if you're looking for something kind of like plug and play, how do I do the event post that Alyssa was talking about? We have them all right here. So join BAMx today, and I would love to get into some Q&A as well. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. We still have 400 people right now on the Zoom, folks. So drop some questions, and we got about 10 minutes here, and I want to help you guys out with any sort of questions you have on any of this content. I'm going to pull up the chat right now. Krys, did you see anything in there that we should answer?
I was just reading this recent one.
Let's see. Can you put your Instagram handles on here for us to follow? Yes, we'll drop those in the chat. Make sure you follow at the Viral Agent as well. That's
Grant
our
had a good
social
one.
media.
Sorry, I've had a ton of success. I feel like this could be Alyssa.
Mhm.
I've had a ton of success with views, shares, comments, overall virality on my hyperlocal, but I'm at a loss on how to convert this.
How to convert from Instagram into hyperlocal or into real clients. I think the biggest things, like if someone were to reach out to you, it's making sure they know that you're a real estate agent, right? Like over and over again. So making sure they have that content and then always having that drip. The two easy ways to do it that I found is just like opening the door for DMs. Cause I think a lot of people assume you post this and you should get people just inbound. You got to make sure that, you know, even though social media is dead, like you still got to be social and you're not seeing the stuff on the DMs, but there's a lot of going on like the behind the scenes in the DMs. I reach out to my new followers and usually it's the same thing every time. I just say, hey, thanks so much for the follow. I look forward to connecting on here. Did you find me via a particular reel about Spokane? And that just opens the door for conversation. Usually they tell me exactly where they came from. We'll talk a little bit about it. And then the other way is doing polls. So make sure like in your stories, you're putting up polls because that's really going to get people to be hand raisers and say they're interested in having a real estate related conversation with you. So, you know, sometimes if I'm out doing real estate stuff, I'll just put up a poll that says like, I'm interested in buying, but I don't know where to start, or thinking about selling, but I have a question. And then I have a different real estate related question. Those are kind of my three ones that I kind of do over and over again. And then every single one, I'd say I at least get, I don't know, 8, 9, 10, and which like might sound small, but that's 8, 9, 10 people who want to have a real estate related conversation with me. And I try to do like two of those a week. And so
And
that's
yes,
kind of, I think, being purposeful in the DMs.
these polls are in your stories, correct? Rob
Yeah,
asked
I do the
about
polls
this.
and
Okay.
stories. Yep, correct.
Yes. So the polls are in the stories. Your stories are just such a great way to kind of figure out what your audience is interested in. Like I love using my stories or other social platforms as kind of a dumping ground to test out content. So like Krys was saying, before you go like with your hard launch, maybe on a piece of content, if you have a smaller following on Facebook or X or Threads, test something out there and then see what the feedback is like. And then you could put it up on your Instagram as kind of like your final post. All right, Vicky, my city is somewhat small, so I would need to incorporate a couple of other cities near me. I'm struggling with how to label that. It's technically not hyper local anymore. Any feedback on that?
It couples with a question that somebody asked earlier that's like, should you start a separate account? I kind of think like, so I'm serving SoCal, Vicky. Like my office is in Southeast LA, but I'm selling in Orange County, Los Angeles. Like I'm serving a pretty broad market, not feeling, you know, hyper local the way Alyssa is in Spokane. And it hasn't seemed to bother me. I'm not sure if I'm doing it right or wrong. I'm more so just doing it because I know it's right to be doing it and it's generating conversations. But I don't know if that's good advice. I'm being so honest with you.
Yeah, I
I
think,
also,
yeah, go ahead, Tessa.
well, I was going to say also, I think a lot of times, because I work with a lot of client like agents who are in extremely small markets, one of the things that I think we overthink often is that once you've highlighted something, you cannot talk about it again. And Krys was a great example of that with, you know, how many posts he did around that one specific program. But the same thing is true with local things. And it's even repackaging them. So maybe like this may not be the best example, but it's off the top of my head. If you were somebody who's highlighted a local day spa in your area, maybe it's the only one. Well, you could highlight it that way. And then in the future, you could highlight the perfect weekend for moms who need a reset. And then you could highlight the perfect gift for Mother's Day. And you could, like, there's so many ways to take that exact same local thing and repurpose it in multiple pieces of content over and over and over and over. So yes, I think you could also expand to neighboring cities, but I would definitely not underestimate how often you can talk about the same areas over and over in just kind of slightly different filters or slightly different packaging.
Yeah.
And
And
For
also
Krys,
Krys,
I
do the
believe
region.
in your profile, Krys, you have multiple cities,
Yeah.
right? So I create content around those cities. I would also figure out where most of your clients are moving from and kind of reverse engineer where that content. So that's kind of like the reverse Tessa filter is thinking, okay, most of my clients are in North Spokane, right? So Alyssa always talks about North Spokane. So if you're talking about 3 different areas where you do business, which one do you do the most business in? Which one do you want to do the most business in? And that's where you should probably create the most amount of content in. We
I
got
also
some
think
more.
it's,
Yeah.
sorry. I was just going to jump in on that one really
Mhm.
quick. Another thing
Yes,
is like
please.
using the filter and still aiming it, like if you're wanting to, if the issue is you're feeling there's not enough ideas, you can still frame it like the hook is, so say I want to incorporate, like, this is why, hey, Spokane, talk directly to the city you want to do. Like, this is why it's worth the 30-minute drive to X. And you can feature somewhere. I just did one. It's about it's a really cool coffee shop, 45 minutes away over in Idaho, but it's like something crazy unique for the area. And so I said that, I'm like, I actually said in my hook, I focus on places in Spokane, but I'm telling you, this one is worth the 45-minute drive. And then I got into it. So if you just frame it like who you're talking to, you can incorporate a lot more.
That's great. So Jerry Long asked, I'm not an agent, but my husband is. Should I sign up for BAM myself or him since he is an agent? Yes. Sign up, get a free trial right now, and then just test it out and see if you want to stay. You're definitely going to want to stay because we have so much content in there with the social media drops every single week. If you're ever struggling to come up with ideas for content, being in the BAMx community, you will never have to worry about that again because everything's timely. Last week, we had a bunch of St. Patrick's Day posts, event posts, so that you could prepare for today, just like I did with my black shirt, as you guys could all see.
Bill has a good question. Oh, sorry. My bad.
We'll drop the link one more time for BAMx. I know a bunch of people still want to get in there, and we got some more time for Q&A, so drop that link in the chat. All right, what was Bill's question?
Bill was saying, I'm getting a lot of engagement. Damn, I lost you, Bill. I think he said I was getting a lot of engagement, but I don't know how to turn it into reach outs or conversations. What did he say?
So Bill, who's a member of BAMx, said, I'm getting a lot of engagement on Insta, but not as many reach outs as I think I should get. How can I increase those?
Go ahead, Tessa.
Well, to piggyback off of what Alyssa said, I'm a huge believer, and I think it's super, super overlooked for most everyone. We should not be too passive on social media. And I think there's so much content around what content to create, what to put out, and how that should attract people to you. But I think that we cannot underestimate taking the initiative to start the conversations. And more often than not, you're also met with like, oh yeah, I've been seeing your stuff everywhere. Oh, I've been meaning to reach out. But a lot of times to somebody it can be intimidating to reach out. Maybe they don't know if they can, maybe they don't know if it'll sound silly, but a simple message to them of saying, hey, I've seen you engage with my last couple reels about things to do in Spokane. Do you live here currently? Or like you could come up with a couple of different versions of a simple message to send to people. And I don't even think that has to be a forever strategy. But if you are getting good engagement and you are like creating that content, but the people aren't coming to you, sometimes starting it out by being the one who initiates that can really kickstart it. And then there might be a slight tweak with some content too, to just make it sound more approachable for people to reach out to you. So though it sounds repetitive or redundant, in every caption and at the end of almost every carousel, including something around like, here's 3 ways I can help you. Or if you're looking for XYZ, shoot me a message. Like just having these additional variations that open the door for somebody to reach out to you because it's more intimidating than we think. We're probably desensitized to it as agents because we will like knock on a stranger's door. Most people are terrified to say that first thing or reach out initially.
How much time a week are you dedicating to your content creation? This will probably depend on everybody. So I don't know if an answer will necessarily help, but what does help is planning your content around the calendar. Just like Alyssa said, kind of at the beginning, like she looked in advance and saw that St. Patrick's Day was coming up this March. You look to see what is happening in the calendar. Spring market, what does this mean differently for buyers or sellers? March Madness is happening right now, right? Tips off in a couple hours here. I saw Anthony saying that he's going to take the reverse bet of every single bet that I take. That's probably a good move. But the point is March Madness. What does this mean for content creation? Is it the best local bars to watch the games at? If you went to a college, Alyssa went to Gonzaga, right?
Go Zags. Yep.
They're a 3 seed. So I'm a huge U of A fan from Tucson, Arizona. This matters to me. I do want to post content about this because it has a deeper level of connection too. That's the interest base, right? So even if Alyssa wears a Bulldogs hat in her next post, I bet it's going to like increase favorability for her in that area because people are going to be like, oh, Zags. Like Zags are playing right now. I want to watch this. Is she going to talk about Gonzaga? So March Madness, that's how you that didn't answer the question at all.
A great piece of content for the wives and spouses that don't care about games is like bars or restaurants to go watch that where your wife will be entertained or where she can get her favorite glass of wine while you watch whatever sports are happening. Look at
Exactly.
that.
By the way, we have a bracket in BAMx as well. Another reason to join if you are a college basketball fan, we have the BAM bracket where the winner is getting a merch bundle. So, by the way, everyone, click this link right now. Get into BAMx with your 7-day free trial. I'm emphasizing it because once you see what is behind the scenes, you will absolutely love it, and you will have nonstop content and training for life. Let's go, Hawkeyes. Okay, a couple minutes here for some more questions. Let's see. I think it would help to go meet the business owners in person. Yes. So, Alyssa, if you want to touch upon like how helpful it's been to communicate with these business owners beforehand with your DM, and then what that relationship does, Alyssa, Krys, Tessa, whoever.
Yeah, when I first started, I was always awkward. I'm like, and so I didn't ask because I felt weird. So I just show up and awkwardly shoot them like at a restaurant, and it was uncomfortable for probably both of us. And so then I was like, why am I not reaching out? It's a missed opportunity to create a relationship with the business owner, and it also gives them a heads up. Like, here's the thing: like these small businesses, they don't have any marketing, and so any free publicity, they are like so jacked about it, and it really means a lot to them. So every single time I record a video DM to a business owner and tell them what I'm going to do and ask, and more often than not, they're like, yes, I will give you X, Y, and Z. They want to roll out the red carpet because they want to make their business look as great as possible. And so, yes, I do shoot a video DM, and then they know you're coming and you set up a day and time. They know you're coming, and it's way less awkward. I do have the full script and all the things in the training in BAMx.
I've sold houses to the businesses that I've profiled, and I feel really grateful for that. So it's like I was trying to get close to my community, want to highlight the businesses in my community. And sure enough, it's just like conversations, right? So Hector was like, how much time do you spend on social? I think it's like, how much time do you want to spend on social to have conversations? Like, this game is just talking to people, right? So I'm posting 15 reels a day because it's like I'm trying to have these conversations online, right? So wherever you're wanting to spend the time to talk to people, I think is the place.
Yes. And then I saw another post, or what was the last question? Can you guys read that on Zoom?
What are your thoughts on creating this hyperlocal content along with personal content such as health, fitness, family?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely do it.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
What were you gonna say, Tessa?
Yeah, I was going to say highly recommend. And like that kind of brings it back to the making it relevant to things to you. Like a lot of the examples we're talking about, of course, are restaurants, coffee shops, whatever. But like, don't forget that that could be even incorporated in the personal stuff. Like if you have a gym that you frequent and you're a regular at, that you're a member at, that could be a really incredible way to incorporate that and make it sort of like seamlessly integrate with your personal content. And I think people will be more inclined to maybe take your recommendations also if they see like, oh, she seems like the kind of person I would, I feel related to or that seems similar to me. This might be something I would like too. People, whether they know it or not, are always making these like psychological connections. So I definitely think it's good to incorporate.
It's so I feel like it's almost like a must, like whether in your stories, but also like posts, it's the whole goal is to get people, right, to like be relatable and to get people to like you, and so that they would feel comfortable reaching out for real estate. And if they can find some connection with you, you immediately go up a notch in their books. And so I feel like it's vital, and it'll make it more enjoyable for you because you don't want to be doing videos about stuff that you hate. It's gonna be miserable, and you're gonna not do it very long because you're gonna hate every second of it. So that's why I do coffee shops, Eric, because I love coffee. So
Hey, look, I like coffee too. No harm against coffee shops. That's the ultimate filter, is posting about stuff that you are interested in and that you like doing. That is everything.
Yeah.
How much more fun is it to talk about sports? But that's for me. I should have just created an entire meme account around like sports or something like that. But I, of course, love real estate. My point is that if you are doing a hostage situation business review of a place that you don't actually care about or don't go to, or just think like, hey, this is a new trending spot, I want to talk about this new pizza shop, but you haven't been there, you don't like it, you don't know anything unique about it, you haven't talked to the owner about it, what's the point of that piece of content? Why would someone want to hear a real estate agent give a review on a restaurant? It's like, I don't care what Krys has to, Krys just gave this pizza shop at 6. Cool. Give me new information. He went to a new pizza place. Okay, now there's something there. He seems to like it. He's passionate about it. It just really reflects in in the actual content, I think.
As a
All
result,
right.
as a
Yeah.
byproduct too, not everyone, but a lot of times the people you'll start attracting through that content oftentimes might have some similarities, some similar interests. It might make just overall the process of who you're working with that much more enjoyable as well.
Absolutely. All right, everybody, go follow at the Viral Agent on Instagram if you want to hear. If you're overwhelmed by the amount of content BAM has and you just want marketing only, you want a marketing newsletter only, go follow the Viral Agent. Of course, go follow these three amazing individuals right here: Krys Benyamein, Alyssa Curnutt, Tessabella, the princess of posting, the crew. This is just one of 3 more webinars that we're going to do. And lastly, get in BAMx today. Seriously, scan this QR code. This is your last chance to get in on this webinar with the free trial. It is $97 a month after the fact, but test out the content for 7 days. See if you like it. Social media templates, video scripts, blogs, emails, all of Krys Benyamein's print marketing, Alyssa Curnutt's hyperlocal course. You get live role playing with Byron Lazine, Tom Toole, and Lisa Chinati. We didn't even mention the sales and conversion side. We just mentioned right now the marketing side. So if you got value out of this, highly, highly recommend joining. There's a link down in the chat as well. Thank you, everybody. Any last words of advice? Anything to close it out? Krys, any motivation you could give us?
Let it rip.
Yeah, there we go.
Let it rip.
Let it rip. Love that. Let it rip. Post as much content as possible. It is the best time to create content in the history of the world. We are in an interest-based algorithm. Social media is dead. Hyperlocal content. Put it through a filter. Bear down. Go Arizona. I'll see you in Indianapolis in the Final Four. Alyssa, I'll see you in the Elite Eight.
Go Zags.
Smashes Gonzaga to pieces. All right. Bye, everybody.